Hello everyone, Ryan here with another album review. Before I start, I just want to quickly say thanks to everybody who has been watching my album reviews and commenting. Also, everyone else has been watching and commenting on all my other videos. I do appreciate it. And thanks to everybody who's currently subscribed as well. The main reason why I started reviewing albums is because I kind of think of it as my way of giving something back to my favorite bands who have produced so many of my favorite albums throughout the years. And not only that, but the fact that it's also kind of my way of giving back to the people who have created the awesome metal music that has enriched my life for such a long time. Because it seems like no matter where I am, no matter what I'm doing, no matter how I feel, I can always listen to my favorite albums, my favorite bands, my favorite songs, and it's kind of like a pick-me-up. Like, some people need to drink a lot of coffee throughout the day. Me, I just need to listen to metal music throughout the day, at least a couple times a day, but usually more than that. And it cheers me up, it picks me up, and I like that about music in general. I'm sure a lot of other people do. So yeah, without further delay, I wanted to talk about review Korn. In fact, Korn's self-titled debut album. It was released sometime in 1994, and of course, I gotta admit, in 1994, actually I hadn't really realized, I didn't know till quite some time ago that Korn's first album was released in 94. It took me a while to find that out. I didn't find it out until after it had already been out for about 5 or 6 years. But anyways, I'll go ahead and give the track listing and talk about 5 of my favorite tracks off the album. So track number 1 is Blind. I know a lot of people are familiar with that song. I also happen to play it in my band. We do a cover version of it in my band, Revolt. Number 2 is Tongue. 3, Need To. 4 is Clown. 5, Divine. 6 is Faggot. 7, Shoots and Ladders. 8, Predictable. 9, Fake. 10, Lies. 11, Helmet in the Bush. And 12, Daddy. Okay, so my five favorites are as follows. My 5th favorite is Shoots and Ladders. I like that it starts with that bagpipe intro, I guess you could call it. Before I'd even listened to the song, I had no idea that Jonathan Davis had any kind of Scottish background or Scottish heritage. But I like that part, and I also like that the lyrics are kind of a play on nursery rhymes that we're all familiar with. London Bridge is falling down, all that kind of stuff. So that's why I like that one. That's my 5th favorite. My 4th favorite would be, of course, the song called Faggot, F-A-G-E-T. Now, of course, unless you actually listen to this song, I can understand you might instantly be offended by it just by the title. But I guess to me, I always kind of interpret it as, being offensive in order to initially grab the listener's attention. But then the lyrics are very profound. In fact, that's one of the things I like about Jonathan Davis. I would say he's one of my favorite singers. Not one of my all-time favorite singers, but he's definitely one of my favorite hard rock, metal singers, and lyricists as well, because he does happen to write a lot of very profound lyrics, and so this one is no exception. Of course, it's pretty much, I guess, it runs the gamut from anything, from feeling alienated, feeling ostracized, feeling pigeonholed, and then all the way through to like pretty much learning to accept oneself for being as unique as possible, even if that means that the rest of society doesn't accept you or doesn't accept a particular individual. In the long run, that doesn't really matter, just as long as you yourself, or each of us, embraces our own uniqueness. And unfortunately, most of the time, that does mean cutting certain people out of our lives. And there are a lot of cases when that also tends to lead to, becoming aggressive, giving into a certain amount of aggression, I guess you could say. Not to the point of violent means or committing violent acts, although unfortunately that does seem to happen sometimes. But in other words, just really aggressively asserting your own uniqueness. So that's why I like this song. That's my fourth favorite off this album. My third favorite is Clown. Again, for me, another song filled with profound lyrics. Clown. If you haven't heard it, I do recommend listening to it. I'll try to find a link to it, to some kind of video, if there is an official video for it. My second favorite off this album was Ball Tongue, and although I will say for this song, Ball Tongue, I don't really find the lyrics to be as profound as the other songs, but mostly because I like the guitar riffs for this song. And I also like that it's one of the songs in which Jonathan Davis exercises his own vocal technique, which he's known for, in which he just kind of like spits out seemingly random gibberish, but it goes along with the tempo of the song. For instance, I'm not sure if it's in the chorus or before the chorus, in which he shouts, or whoever does the backup vocals. I believe on this album, the guitarist Head, Brian Welch, also known as Head, I believe he did some of the backup vocals, or maybe all of the backup vocals on this album. But so they shout out, Ball Tongue, and then Jonathan Davis does his thing where he says, blah, 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 or something along those lines. I'm not making fun of it. I'm saying that that's what I like about this song. I've always liked that technique that Jonathan Davis employs throughout many other albums, some more than others, but especially on this one, on their debut album, and on this song, Ball Tongue. So I don't know. That's why I like it. So that's my second favorite, Ball Tongue. My first favorite would definitely have to be Blind. It's not just because it's the first track on the album. It's not just because it's a good opening song. But definitely, I would say, as I said before, Jonathan Davis' lyrics tend to be pretty profound. But this song, it's just got such a catchy guitar riff, catchy vocal melody, vocal harmony, and then combined with pretty meaningful lyrics. And then also too, of course, I mentioned before, it's a song that I cover with my band, Revolt. I'm trying to think of the. So essentially, it's kind of like, to me, I interpret the lyrics as trying to have a certain amount of self-esteem. We're trying to figure out how and why a particular individual doesn't seem to have a certain amount of self-esteem or just self-confidence in general. I mean, that's how I interpret the lyrics. Granted, I know they tend to be, most lyrics tend to be completely open to interpretation. But then overall too, just because of that guitar riff, where it's like, da 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 da. And of course, another thing that makes that guitar riff pretty awesome is the fact that the guitars are tuned down to drop A. For those of you who don't know much about the technicalities of guitar playing, there's different tunings that different guitar players use to achieve a certain sound or a certain tone. So with Korn, with the two guitar players, also the bass player, but since I'm just talking about guitar, Head, Brian Welch, and then Monkey, the other guy, Monkey, I believe, I want to say the name is Mike Schaefer, or I think Mike. They're more commonly known as Head and Monkey. They've always played 7-string guitars. 7-string guitars, of course, most of them are tuned they have the 7th string is the lowest sounding string, and it's usually tuned to A, sometimes A flat. But so that's why Korn's guitar riffs tend to sound a certain way, very low, and also tend to have slightly more of a bassy tone underlying the entire guitar riff throughout the song. So yeah, that's how they achieve their sound. I do remember reading about how there was at one point when Korn opened up for Metallica, and this was back in, I think it might have been 95 or 96. And of course, not everybody liked them. Of course, I mean, like a lot of bands, I mean, you gotta figure, during the 90s, the mid to late 90s, Korn introduced not a completely new style of music, but new to mainstream rock in general. And they eventually pulled it off, but obviously it took a number of years for them to gain a following. But they did it nonetheless. And that's another reason why I like them. Although I will say, I don't like the fact that now a couple of their recent albums, they've started to use a lot more synthesizer stuff, I guess you would call it. You could call it like dubstep and other techno sounding stuff. I don't like that they started incorporating more of that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if you can tell, but for me, I prefer my favorite Korn album is their first album, definitely. So I mean, I would say overall, I do give it 5 metal horns out of 5, definitely. Yeah. I don't know what else to say about it. The one time that I did see Korn in concert, in between a couple songs, the guitar player, Monkey, he did a couple of guitar solos, like really quick, maybe a 30 to 40 second long guitar solos. And it sounded really great. I mean, he definitely has a good, from what I heard, he has a decent understanding of guitar scales, the basic guitar scales. So I don't know, for me, I feel like I've always wanted them to incorporate that into their music, but I know ultimately that's not what their music is about, or I don't know. I mean, I feel like, if Monkey wants to play guitar solos, they should let him play guitar solos. Incorporate that into your songs. I mean, I don't know. Unless there's one song off of the most recent album, which I've yet to hear their most recent album. I will eventually get around to reviewing that. So, yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought. But yeah, so I don't want to ramble on and on because I got a lot more albums to review. But again, I give this one 5 out of 5 metal horns. Next Korn album I will be reviewing is their second one, of course, Life is Peachy. So yeah, thanks for watching. Until next time, keep it real. What am I doing? Keep it real. Keep on rocking in peace.